Today we're going to be reading Evie and the Evergreen Forest, written by Tamara. I love this book because I love fairies and because it makes me use my imagination. There is something about the Evergreen Forest. I'm the luckiest fairy in the world, sighed Evie as she looked out of her window. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and the trees swayed gently in the fresh breeze. Evie lived in this gorgeously green forest with many of her animals friends. She loved picking berries with Wilbur Wombat, playing flying games with Oscar Owl, and splashing in the pond with Terry the turtle. Everyone loved living in their peaceful evergreen forest until one day, Carl Cockatoo came flying to Evie. Evie, Evie, come quickly. There's trouble in the forest. Trouble in the forest? She wondered. But before Evie had time to ask Carl what he meant, flew away. He flew away, waving his wing for her to follow. They flew high and low, dodging through the trees. Evie couldn't remember ever flying so fast. What was the hurry? What could be so wrong? And then she saw it, a sight that made her heart sink. She simply couldn't believe her eyes. Her enchanting evergreen forest had lost its magic. Brown, lifeless trees stood sadly. The ponds were all dried up, and it was strangely quiet. What has happened, Carl? We've had no rain, whispered a soft voice. Even Carl turned to a frightened little Danny deer, walking carefully towards them. Our forest used to be so beautiful. Danny deer recalled, a tear rolling down her cheek. Now everything is dying. My mother left earlier this morning to find us some food and isn't back home yet. Without water, nothing can grow here for us to eat. How terrible, exclaimed Carl. Please don't cry. My name is Carl and this is Evie. Is there anything we can do to help? It's useless, sighed Danny. There's nothing you can do. Without rain, the forest will die. Suddenly, a smile crept over Evie's face. Stay here, Carl, she said. I have an idea. And off she flew. Carl Cockatoo waited patiently with Danny. The poor deer looked scared and very hungry. Some time had passed when she finally said, It's nice of Evie to try to help, but I simply can't see what she can do to save our home. Just as the words left her mouth, she felt a wet drop land on her nose, followed by another. Could it be rain? Danny looked up to the sky and her face shone with delight. She couldn't believe her eyes, for up in the sky weren't the clouds she expected to see, but Evie followed by the largest flock of birds she'd ever seen, and they were all carrying water. What started as little drops soon turned into rain. As each drop splashed down, the forest immediately began to glisten. Each bird sang with delight, filling the forest with joy and magic once again. Before long, Danny saw a familiar face visible in the distance. Mama, she cried as she ran to hug her mother. I'm sorry I left you for so long, Danny, but I had to walk very far to find this food and I got lost. Luckily, Evie spotted me while she was flying and guided me home. How did you do it, Evie? Asked Danny, smiling with joy. It wasn't just me. Take a look around you, replied Evie. Danny turned and saw she was surrounded by the kind of faces of Evie's Evergreen Forest friends. I saved the water I used to wash my dishes, said Oscar Owl. I collected water while bathing in the pond, stated Terry Turtle. I collected dew from the leaves, smiled Kara Koala. As each animal spoke, Danny Deer began to understand the power of working together. Every day, Evie and the Evergreen Forest animals continued to collect and deliver all the water they could find until the brown, damaged forest came back to life again. All of the animals returned to stay, and the Evergreen Forest was happy once more. Smiling, Evie said, "Together, anything is possible." I've got a question. Does anyone know what the message was in this book? Please click pause. The answer is, together anything is possible. Another question is, can anyone remember who was collecting berries with Evie? Please click pause. The answer is Wilbur. Which animal was playing and flying and doing flying games with? The answer is Oscar Owl. And can anyone remember who was splashing with Evie? Click pause. The answer was Terry Turtle.